Welcome one and all to Bike Racing Without Mercy and the lane they call Swain's on a gleaming Saturday morning ahead of the Hardest Hundred Chilterns Sportive on a not so pristine Sunday. Separate video to come on that very shortly. My intent today was to spin out the legs and have a few low threshold efforts on London's premier playground. Official climbs number 27, Swain's Lane, with its Strava segment clocking in at 0.92 kilometres, average gradient 7.3%, but variable, including plenty of steep ramps. However, a combination of sunshine, high spirits and good legs led to a little impromptu attempt on my PB. It's been a long cherished ambition to get sub 2 minutes 30 on Swain's, and I needed to shave 6 seconds off my October 2020 PB. The com is held by hill climber par excellence and TT aficionado Mr. Sammy B, 1 minute 48 seconds, whilst a super high-powered crit racing and triathlon-loving friend of mine, Andy Wakeling, has done it in 2 minutes 11 seconds. Both of these gentlemen make an appearance later in this video, dishing out all kinds of crit racing hurt, and I'm on the other side of that. So I teed up a substantial initial punch in the big ring, controlling the power in the first half in order to leave just enough energy for a giant uppercut in the second half. As I say, there's going to be a separate video on the Hardest Hundred Chilterns Sportive, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was with Paul Hamblet and Phil Rich, amazing company. And I even experimented with a few big digs during an Imperial Century, i.e. I've transitioned to no longer simply surviving the century. It was good power, right up there with my best outdoors for a punchy climb of this distance. 423 watts for a time of 2 minutes 31 seconds. Close, but no cigar. And it required 398 watts average, 422 normalised over 3 minutes in order to achieve the time. This was my high for the week. Well, that and the Sportive, and the crit, the low point, was to follow.
Well, that felt good. Just opening up the legs ahead of the Hardest Hundred Chilterns tomorrow with Phil Rich and Paul Hamblet. It's the first time I've really gone for a max effort on Swain's in probably 9 months or so, and I reckon that's a PB. We'll see, but it felt good. The video felt good. Just transitioning from Colnago to video ahead of tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to the event, hoping for a really good thrash around the Chiltern Hills, looking for a fast time. Nice. You can just see the city coming now. I used to work in that building there, and then I got moved to that one there. There we go, shopping excursion. There you go, that was my building. The ill-fated ABN AMRO building that was acquired by Royal Bank of Scotland, now NatWest. Shopping destination close by. Hopefully it's open. There we go. Oh dear, I don't think it's open. You get all the Jack the Ripper tours going along here, just on the outskirts of the city really, before we push out towards the East End. Lots of intrigue along these streets. And watering holes. Look at that. It's longer than the Key Fernando's, Jane.
Well, to the climb of the spoils, as always, and we've come to a little Italian restaurant, quite a big Italian restaurant in Mayfair. We really like it, but it seems to turn into a bit of a nightclub. However, these flatbreads with the rosemary are the business. We've taken note of the stick we received for the smaller portions at the fine dining experience, amazing though it was. So hopefully we get a little bit of kudos for the portion size here. Spinach and beetroot salad with the avocado. Doesn't that look incredible? And Jane's gone for mozzarella and tomato. Kir Royale with denim and ravioli. There we go. And the octopus for that. Plus plenty of veg for the antioxidants. Now, I'd said no to the dessert. I was way too full, but I tried a bit of Jane's pistachio gelato, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, do I need me some of that. So, divine.
Anti-vaccination crowd. But we're still heading south of the river in search of either an Uber, a taxi, or a tube that's actually working. London is properly ground to a halt, but nice views, AJ. Well, this morning it's lower body, and that means deadlifts, and I'm greasing the groove in order to kind of just reinforce good movement patterns and maintain the strength. Warming up right now with the single leg deadlift. This is the third set of 8 reps, looking to fire up the body and the nervous system and engage the mind-muscle connection.
I'm ever more resolute in my belief that strength training is very beneficial for the cyclist.
Yeah, they felt decent. Now onto the main course. A couple of decent warm-up sets of 60 and 65 here, looking for 5 with 70.
You'll feel more stable through the core and stronger in the glutes and the hamstrings, and also the arms if you venture to train the upper body. Deadlift for watts, I say. And as ever, please provide marks out of 10 on my form, found, and euros.
The fifth was unnecessarily slow. Well, feeling adventurous, now 75 for 3.
A bit of progress here with, I reckon, good form, and a bit more progression on the deadlift is going to bode well for the climbing and the top end power. Also found on your recommendation, I've recently added back in the single leg Romanian deadlifts where the weight doesn't touch the ground for those that aren't aware of the movement.
Well, the rep speed for 75 for 3 was good, as was the form, nice and solid. Therefore, going to push the boat out with 80 for 1, thinking about the 25% gradients. Yeah, solid. Well, just 7 working sets there, including in the end there, 3 times 1 rep with 80 kilograms. And I've been experimenting last week, and I'm going to continue to experiment this week with the strength training ahead of a threshold style training. It's a progression on Ed Laverack, Coach Laverack's 2010s from last week. Only this time, each of the 2010 blocks is a bit longer, 10 minutes each times 2. Let's see how I go. Well, my bad. It isn't 2010s. It's 50-10s for 10 minutes. 2 10-minute blocks of 50-10s, then tempo. The 50-second intervals are at 300 watts, i.e. just above my FTP of 295. So that's zone 4, we're under Tom Danielson, zone 6. And the 10-second efforts within all of that are at 350 watts, i.e. zone 5, or power zone 8 under Tom Danielson, nuclear. Here we go. Just going to establish the equilibrium, the breathing and the cadence, and I'll report back a little bit later. The This is super difficult.
I love riding at threshold. It feels fast outside and is obviously a bit more sustainable than VO2 max. And Ed is the master of taking a basic training and adding in a little bit of Laverack spice.
Coming up for the last of the 10-second 350 watt efforts. Just spinning up the cadence. Like I said in a previous video, it's easier indoors just to spin up. No undulating gradient with trainer mode turned on for Zwift.
And here the 10-second surges, whilst they might seem pretty innocuous, in reality provide a very significant additional training stress and hopefully will encourage an adaptation, including teaching the body to recover at high intensity.
50 seconds, then 5 minutes recovery.
I find it easier to execute a training like this indoors because I can get my head down and focus on the cadence and the delivery of power and the breathing.
It is back at 300 watts for the 50-second efforts, as you can see. Boy, am I glad for recovery.
But in my experience, the fitness and recovery benefits will cross over very nicely indeed back outside.
Yesterday, Monday, was a full rest day, but Sunday was the Chilterns Hardest 100. 166 kilometres, 2,350 metres of climbing, and I went hard with Phil Rich and Paul Hambler. So I am feeling a little bit jaded. I was very jaded yesterday, headaches, etc. It does take me a while to properly recover from a longer ride, but I wanted to get this training in early in the week because on Thursday I've got my first crit of the year at Hog Hill. Just going to be a practice crit, just looking to get used to riding in the bunch. Hopefully I'll stay in the main group, but if I don't, that's okay. Just trying to find my race legs and race brain. It's a cat 3-4 race. I'm cat 3. Well, the 5 minutes recovery has flown by for a 27:08, and I really don't want to do this second block of 10, but I'm going to give it my best. Emotional. Last one. Oh, final 50 seconds. Hurried. Transition to 200, incoming. Now I have to get into work. I don't have time for an hour and a half today, so I'm going to have to cut the session short. But what I've done is made sure I get the transition into zone 2, 200 to 220 watts, power zone 4. Under Tom Danielson, the endurance power zone, or one of them, in order to know that I can then quite happily sustain this for another 50 minutes. I'm going to do some zone 2 recovery tomorrow, and as I say, on Thursday, it's a crit race. I'll report back. And there you have the session in glorious Technicolor, courtesy of our favourite virtual platform. I definitely was at or above the power range throughout the first block of 10, and on the 50-second efforts, there were times when I was falling a little bit low. You can see the green in there, albeit I had increased artificially my FTP to 305 in Zwift in order to have those 50-second efforts at 300. Well, I'm a man who sees through on a plan, and I came back to complete my little shopping mission. I got myself 2 lovely jerseys and a pair of bib shorts. You'll see them when I use them.
Well, it's been a while. The nervous energy has had a peak. First crit in about 18 months. Fingers crossed, I'll let you know how I go. Which brings this vlog full circle to a very tidy conclusion. By the way, that's Andy Wakeling there in the purple, and Jivan from the Black Cyclist Network. Next to me, in the red, skulking at the rear of the bunch at the start. I was mindful of the need not to get in the way of those more experienced, plus my usual inability to clip in efficiently. Whilst nervous, I was quietly confident of being able to cling on in the bunch. However, I hadn't counted on the calibre being so high in Cat 3, including none other than hill climber par excellence, he of the Swain's Lane KOM, Sammy B. And trust me when I say that Sammy B, Andy Wakeling and the other big hitters laid down monumental power and pace right from the first entry into the back straight there. And that in turn caused my level of concern and discomfort to go straight to max, DEFCON 1. First lap was 42.5 kilometers an hour. The Cat 4 races here were more like 38 to 39. And to add to my rapidly growing list of problems, my left cleat kept on unclipping, causing loss of momentum and wasted energy to surge back on best I could. By the way, massive thanks to Aaron Sandhu, Jeevan's teammate, for the incredible camera work. 8 minutes in and on the third ascent, I unclipped for the third time, this time out the saddle, causing much bad temper from the lady behind. So for the safety of everybody, I pulled the ripcord, knowing full well that I lacked the punch.
Well, it was an unmitigated disaster. My cleat kept coming out the left pedal. I think it's because I've got my old cycling shoes on and where the cleats are much more worn down, and recently I've been wearing the new shoes with the new cleats, and so it only really manifested itself when the power went up. But in all honesty, I wasn't race fit either. I reckon I could have got maybe halfway into that in the front group, but I was struggling. So I've got to build the punch a bit more, i.e. the top end power. It's a bit faster in the summer than it was over the winter, where I got most of my points to get promoted. Anyway, time to cycle back home with my tail firmly between my legs.